Night in Nora village used to feel like a warm blanket. It was a tiny, close-knit community where everyone knew everyone. People woke each morning greeting neighbors with easy smiles. Children played barefoot on the dusty road, chasing each other until sunset. Old women sat on low stools in front of wooden houses, telling stories about how Nora had always been peaceful. Life moved slowly there, like a quiet river. At night, the peace grew even deeper. Families often stayed outside until late, enjoying the cool breeze. The sky glittered with stars, and on some nights the moon shone so brightly it lit the whole street like a soft lamp. No one was afraid of anything. No robberies, no fights, no strange visitors. The only real problem was the heat. During the dry season, the air in Nora became so hot that sleeping indoors felt like being locked in an oven. Almost every family slept with their windows wide open so the night breeze could sleep in. No one bothered locking windows. Why should they? There had never been any danger in Nora. Parents slept deeply, children snored softly, even those who lived alone felt safe with their windows open to the night. Many believed their ancestors protected the village. For years, their nights were calm and undisturbed. But the peace was already cracking. Something dark was quietly drawing closer, something that would turn Nora's cool, open-window nights into hours of terror. Kolechi was a well-liked young man of about 30. He lived alone in a small rented room by a narrow footpath that led to the village stream. He was friendly but not noisy, he greeted everyone politely and minded his own business. Many people in Nora trusted him. Because of the heat, Kolechi always slept with his window wide open. He used to joke that with the window closed, he couldn't breathe. The cool breeze at night was his relief from the burning daytime sun. One night, the village lay as calm as ever. The moon hung in the sky like a dull lantern, casting a faint silver glow across the dusty ground. The dogs were quiet. Most people had gone to sleep early, as usual. Kolechi lay on his bed, his window wide open, the night air filling his room. Nothing seemed strange. Nothing warned them that Nora's story was about to change forever. Around midnight, the village was shattered awake. A scream sliced through the silence, sharp, desperate, full of raw terror. It came from Kolechi's room. It sounded like someone being dragged straight from sleep into death. His neighbors jumped up from their beds in panic. Some thought thieves had attacked him. Others thought he was having a nightmare. But the scream was too real, too painful to ignore. People grabbed their lanterns and torches and ran to his room, calling his name. Kolechi's door was slightly open, as if someone had tried to escape or call for help. One man pushed it fully open. What they saw froze them in place. Kolechi lay on the floor in a thick pool of blood. One side of his head was smashed in as if a very heavy object had struck him with brutal force. Blood splattered the floor, the walls, and even reached the open window. His eyes were still open, staring blankly at nothing. The room smelled of blood, fear, and something no one could name. People shouted in confusion. Women screamed and covered their faces. Men staggered back, unable to understand what could have done this inside a locked room in such a peaceful village. Nothing was stolen. The door was not broken. The window had no marks from forced entry. The room showed no signs of a struggle. It was as if something had slipped in silently, killed him, and vanished without leaving a trace. Kolechi's death became Nora's first true horror. The village would never be the same again. Fear spreads through Nora. By dawn, the terrible news had spread through Nora like wildfire. People gathered in the streets, talking in fearful whispers. Some wept openly. Mothers held their children as if something deadly floated in the air itself. Men shook their heads, confused and terrified. What kind of thing could smash a man's head and leave no signs of struggle? No footprints, no broken lock, no missing items. The whole village felt covered by a dark cloud. Some villagers refused to enter their houses alone. Others kept turning around while walking, afraid something might be following them. Mothers no longer allow children to go to the stream by themselves. The warm, open feeling of Nora was gone. Even the birds sounded quieter, as if nature itself was frightened. The elders soon decided the matter was bigger than any ordinary problem. They called the villagers together and agreed the police had to be informed. A large group walked to the town's police station, huddled close together as if distance between them might invite danger. Their faces were tired and anxious. At the station, they explained everything and begged for help. Inspector Femi, a middle-aged officer with sharp eyes and a calm, firm voice, listened carefully. He'd handled many cases before, but Kelechi's death sounded strange even to him. He asked questions, took notes, and registered the case. Inspector Femi promised he and his team would visit Nora for a proper investigation. His calm voice brought them a little comfort, but fear still clung to their hearts like a shadow. Back in Nora, people locked their doors earlier than usual. The village, once proud of its peace, now waited, afraid, silent, unsure of what tomorrow would bring. A killer in their midst. Nora believed it was facing some unknown evil, maybe a spirit, maybe something from the outside. But their worst fear was already living among them. Tarak was a 25-year-old young man. To most villagers, he was quiet and harmless. He walked alone, didn't cause trouble, greeted politely when spoken to, and rarely drew attention to himself. Behind his gentle face, however, Tarak hid a darkness that no one suspected. At night, while everyone slept with their windows open, Tarak moved like a shadow. He knew every footpath, every narrow lane, every house with an easy entrance. But Tarak was not acting alone. In a nearby town lived Elder Moro, a respected traditional priest. Many people went to him for charms and medicine, believing in his powers. Few knew how deep his evil truly ran. Tarak and Elder Moro had a deadly arrangement. Elder Moro had wealthy clients, corrupt businessmen, desperate politicians, people hungry for power, who came to his shrine in secret. They wanted rituals that promised success at any cost. For those rituals, Elder Moro always repeated the same thing. Human blood is the strongest sacrifice. Tarak's job was to collect that blood. Elder Moro chose the victims and passed their names to Tarak. Tarak slipped into their rooms at night, using a heavy stone as his weapon. After killing his target, he would soak a white handkerchief in their blood. That blood-soaked cloth became the heart of Elder Moro's rituals. The clients paid huge fees. Elder Moro grew rich. Tarak, risking his life and doing the killing, received only a small token and the false promise of future power. Still, he continued, driven by greed, fear, and the thrill of killing. While Nora wept over Kelechi's death, Tarak drank in bars and visited prostitutes in another town, laughing and wasting his small reward. To the villagers, the nights were filled with grief and prayers. To Tarak, they were just nights of pleasure. Nobody suspected him. The same hands that waved at children in the daytime were the hands that crushed skulls in the night. The second killing. A few days after Kelechi's murder, Elder Moro sent another message. More blood was needed. Tarak readied his heavy stone and waited for the quietest hour of night. The streets of Nora were still. Only a soft wind and distant dog barks broke the silence. At around 1 a.m., he spotted a house with an open window. Inside slept Lumi, a young woman of 30 who had recently married. Her husband was away in Riverport City on business, leaving her alone. The heat pushed her to keep her window wide open. Tarak crept closer, eyes gleaming with evil intent. Without warning, he raised his stone and struck with all his strength. Lumi screamed, but her neighbors were too far away to help in time. The stone smashed her head, and she fell. Blood soaked the sheets and floor. The scream echoed through the night, waking many villagers. People rushed out, shouting and running in the direction of the sound. But by the time they reached Lomi's house, Tarak had already vanished into the darkness, leaving only silence and death behind. A neighbor said he had seen a shadow running, but couldn't identify the person. By morning, Nora was again drowning in sorrow. People sobbed for Lomi and whispered about the evil now haunting their once safe village. 2 brutal deaths in such a short time shattered any idea that the first killing was a strange accident. Fear tightened its grip. Windows were now forced shut at night, despite the suffocating heat. Children refused to sleep alone. Conversations everywhere, market, stream, pathways, were filled with fear and suspicion. Nuora no longer felt like a home. It felt like a trap. Patrols and a dangerous charm. The villagers could not endure the fear forever. The elders and men decided to form night patrols. They armed themselves with torches, long sticks, and a few old rifles. They agreed to take turns watching the streets, houses, and particularly the open windows. For several nights, patrol groups moved silently around the village, whispering to one another and listening for any strange sound. Mothers and children stayed indoors, praying quietly. During this time, Tarak paused his attacks. He stayed away from Nuora, watching from a distance. He knew the patrols were serious. Striking now could expose him. For the first time in many nights, no one died. The village began to relax a little. Children slowly started playing near their homes again. Doors sometimes remained slightly open to let in air. The patrollers were praised as heroes. But Tarak was not done. He was only waiting. As his money ran out and his thirst for power returned, he went back to Elder Moru, kneeling before him. He confessed his fear of being caught and begged for protection. Elder Moru smiled and brought out a small charm carved from wood, wrapped in cloth. When danger comes, he said, put this charm in your mouth. You will disappear from sight. No one will see you. No one will touch you. Finish your work, and you will always escape. Tarak believed him completely. With the charm, he felt unbeatable. He returned to Nuora, his confidence restored. Now, not even patrols frightened him. He watched the streets again, heavy stone in hand, ready to kill. The killing no one could understand. One hot night, a man in Nuora decided the heat inside his house was too much. He spread a mat near his veranda and slept outside to catch some breeze. Tarak noticed him lying alone. Moving silently, he crept toward the sleeping man, raised his stone, and struck his head with deadly force. The man screamed, but only once. Blood quickly spread across the ground. The neighbors woke and rushed out. They saw a shadow fleeing and immediately gave chase. Men grabbed sticks and torches. They ran through the streets, shouting, determined not to let the killer escape again. Tarak remained calm. He had Elder Moru's charm. As the villagers closed in, he slipped the charm into his mouth. In an instant, he vanished from their sight. The villagers stopped, stunned. One moment the figure was right in front of them, the next, it was gone as if swallowed by the darkness itself. Whispers started at once. This is not a human being. He is using powerful magic. From that night on, fear in Nuora grew deeper than ever. People no longer only fear the killer, they fear the supernatural killer. Windows stayed closed. People stopped sleeping outside. Even the patrols became hesitant. Who wants to chase a man who can vanish into thin air? Meanwhile, Tarak felt invincible. Death after death. Tarak's killings did not stop. That same week, Amara, a young woman sleeping near her open window, was struck and killed in her bed. An old man, who had lived in Nuora peacefully his entire life, was also murdered in the same way, his head smashed, blood collected in a white handkerchief. One by one, more victims fell. Every attack was the same: silent approach, heavy stone, a splash of blood, the killer's disappearance, and another handkerchief delivered to Elder Moru's shrine. Elder Moro's business grew. Wealthy clients kept coming, paying huge amounts for rituals involving human blood. His shrine filled with treasures. Tarak, however, still received only peanuts, a little money, a few charms, empty promises. He grumbled but kept going. Greed, fear of Elder Moro, and the thrill of power kept him chained to the evil. Nwora was collapsing under the weight of sorrow. Families began fleeing to other places, leaving houses empty. The once lively village began to look like a ghost town. Markets were half empty. Children no longer laughed in the streets. Even during the day, sadness hung in the air like mist. Inspector Femi and his team searched tirelessly, but each time clues led nowhere. Tarak's ability to vanish made officers afraid to patrol at night. How do you fight what you think might be invisible? Nwora was slowly dying. A secret meeting and a weakness. The chief of Nwora, Chief Okoro, knew the village could not survive if the killings continued. With more families leaving and fear choking those who remained, he decided to act. He called a secret, closed-door meeting. Only trusted elders, spiritualists, and a few skilled hunters were invited. The room was tense. Everyone knew the future of Nwora depended on what they decided. The spiritualists explained what they had discovered. Tarak's power came from a charm given by Elder Moro. Whenever Tarak sensed danger, he put the charm in his mouth and disappeared. That was how he had escaped the patrols and the villagers. But they had also found a weakness. The charm could be destroyed by cassava water. If the charm touched cassava water, its magic would die. Tarak would become visible like any ordinary man. The villagers were shocked and relieved. Finally, there was a way to fight back. Chief Okoro and his council planned a trap. Cassava water would be prepared and kept ready at selected locations. Hunters would position themselves near open windows that looked tempting to Tarak. Spiritualists prepared protective charms for the hunters and key families. Everyone had a role. The plan: let Tarak strike again, but this time, he would not escape. The villagers left the meeting still afraid, but now they held something new in their hearts. Hope. As Christmas approached, Nwora remained tense. But Tarak was thinking only of himself. He wanted new clothes, a shiny wristwatch, and nights of celebration. The tiny rewards from Elder Moro were no longer enough for his greed. He decided he needed a big kill, a night that would provide plenty of blood for Elder Moro and, in return, plenty of money for himself. He began studying houses again, looking for easy targets, open windows, and isolated victims. He had no idea a trap had been set for him. On the chosen night, heavy rain pounded Nwora. The streets were slippery, and the roar of rainfall on roofs covered all other sounds. The villagers pretended to sleep early. Inside, hunters and spiritualists waited in silence. Cassava water sat hidden in containers. Protective charms hung at key doorways. Chief Okoro's plan was in motion. Tarak walked the wet streets confidently, his stone in hand. The rain didn't bother him, he believed he could vanish at will. Soon, he spotted a house with an open window and a figure sleeping inside. He crept closer. In one swift blow, he struck the victim. The body fell without a scream, and Tarak bent down, smiling, as he spread out his white handkerchief to collect the blood. That was the moment the villagers had been waiting for. Hunters and men hidden in the shadows rushed out. Cassava water was poured over Tarak's body and splashed onto his clothing and hands. Soaked and stunned, Tarak quickly tried his old escape move. He shoved the charm into his mouth. Nothing happened. He remained visible. He remained trapped. For the first time, fear flooded his own heart. He tried to struggle and run, but hunters and villagers had already blocked every exit. They closed in from all sides, torches and lamps lighting his face so that everyone could see him clearly. The same streets that used to be his hunting ground had turned into a cage. Tarak had nowhere to run. He was finally caught. As the rain continued to fall, villagers dragged Tarak into the open. He struggled, kicked, and shouted, but the Kosovo water had broken his charm. No magic, no vanishing. Just a wicked man exposed. When the light from the torches hit his face, the people gasped. Tarak. The killer they had feared as a spirit or demon was the quiet young man they had greeted on the street. The betrayal cut deep. People remembered Kelechi, Lami, Amora, the old man, and all the others he had murdered. Despair and anger mixed in their hearts. Chief Okoro quickly called the police. Inspector Femi and his team arrived and took control. Tarak was handed over to them, along with the charm and the blood-soaked handkerchiefs that proved his crimes. Elder Moro was also arrested in his shrine, accused of ordering the killings and benefiting from them. The chain of evil was finally broken. The trial was swift and serious. Tarak and Elder Moro were both found guilty of murder, conspiracy, and ritual killings. The judge sentenced them to life imprisonment. For the first time in weeks, Nora could breathe again. The scars would not vanish, but at least the killing had stopped. Slowly, families who had fled began to return. Houses were opened again. Children, still nervous at first, returned to playing in the streets. Mothers watched them with cautious smiles. The villagers still remembered Kelechi's scream, Lomi's sorrow, Amora's unfinished dreams, and the old man's quiet life cut short. But they also remembered the night they united, fought back, and caught the hidden killer among them. Peace returned, not as naive as before, but wiser, more guarded, and more precious. Windows in Nora no longer stayed open all night. People now locked them, not out of distrust for neighbors, but out of wisdom learned the hard way. The story of Tarak and Elder Moro became a warning told to every new generation. Moral of the story. 1. Evil can hide behind friendly faces. Don't judge safety only by habit and familiarity. Sometimes danger is closest where you least suspect it. 2. Greed destroys more than just the greedy. Tarak's and Elder Moro's hunger for money and power cost innocent lives and nearly destroyed an entire community. 3. Blind trust is not the same as peace. Nora's people trusted so completely that they left themselves unprotected. Trust is good, but wisdom and caution are necessary. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more African stories. See you in my next story.